Wow, it's 8:25. I had to look at my watch a couple times. I don't know. we weren't going to leave until like 9:30 anyway. I'll explain later. So it's the first day it's been sunny on this trail in the morning. It's the first day my tent has not been soaked. Fantastic. It's the first day of the Lost Coast. Beautiful morning. So this is what I know of the Lost Coast. Lost Coast, the North Lost Coast, is about 25 miles long. Most people do it in 3 days. We're going to do it in a day and a half. Most people, the way they do it is they drive to Shelter Cove, way south of here. Then they park the car. It's free to park, and then they call a shuttle, and then that shuttle comes and drives them all the way back to this campground. I think that's like $100 a piece, and it's like a 50-mile drive. You got to go way out and come way back. So they get here about 2 o'clock and start then. So they might like go 7 or 8 miles. So there are 3 problems with the trail. One of them, and there are 3 impassable zones. The first one is Soon, and it's a very small one, maybe 1/10 of a mile long. It goes around this long kind of a jetty and then back, and you can't walk around that if the tide's greater than 3 feet above normal. So the 3 feet is the number here. So if it's above 3 feet, it's impassable. If it's below 3 feet, it's fine. So the tide this morning happens in about an hour and a half with the high tide, so we're not going to make that. But the good thing is, the first impassable, you can walk around. There's a hill you can go up and catch the Jeep trail. There's a Jeep trail here because some people owned property in the middle of the Lost Coast that you get to by Jeep at low tide, and they didn't want to sell. So there are cabins on the Lost Coast. So the second impassable zone happens in about 5.5 miles from here. So you've got to match when you're going to be standing there versus the tide. So the tides go up and down, and you go onto the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration NOAA site, and they've got a nice tide chart, and I'll just show you that here. So you can see that there are times when it's above 3 feet and below. So the second impassable zone we'll get to at about noon, because that's when the tide is going down and it hits that 3 feet mark. So we'll be going in the second impassable zone in a receding tide. It's very complicated, and then we'll get all the way through that to about 14-15 miles today and call it a day. So there's water all along. There's creeks all along. Water isn't a problem here. The third impassable zone tomorrow will be a little bit of a pain because we've got to get up early, be on a rising tide before it gets to the 3 feet mark and be out of that. So we'll probably be walking at 6, and the 3 feet mark happens at 8, and the third impassable zone is about 3 miles long. So I think we should be able to do that fairly quick. So they do require bear canisters. You can pick those up at 2 places. One is the BLM office back at Shelter Cove. It's not really at Shelter Cove. It's up the hill 6 miles, but they call it that. And one is at the Petrolia store where you saw it stop. So we'll bring those back to the BLM office, or we can pay somebody to just drop them off. Anyway, most people, when they get back to their car in Shelter Cove, drive up the hill they go past the BLM office and then drop off the cans there. So again, the reason we're leaving late is because we're waiting for the tide to go down to get to the second impassable zone, and we'll be there around noon. Okay, getting ready to start the Lost Coast. range. Wow, they even print the ties.
This is nice.
Yep.
Big, so.
Well, they say that they let 60 people start here a day. I see like 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of tracks. Jason and I make 6. There are 2 girls in back of us. That makes 8. Coming up on the first impassable zone, that large cliff there. 4 hikers in front of us. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. This is the trail up and over. So we're thinking it doesn't look that bad. Had a little meeting with the other people in back of us, and they feel comfortable with it. So we're gonna go give it a look. As I say, it's just that point. It's not like it's a big long mile or 2. So for future reference, this is about 10:30 in the morning. The tide chart says it's at high tide, and it's at 3.98 feet. Well, looking good so far. Of course, you can't tell when they made the tide chart. Sands can shift, and the sand may be a couple of feet higher than it was a year ago. It's a little windy. This is why you walk from north to south, because the wind's from the northwest. There's the first of the private cabins. First real creek crossings, 4 Mile Creek. You can see the lighthouse right up there. The decommissioned Atoll lighthouse. I don't think it's been working since the 60s or something. It's a bit overgrown, but there's so many people that come through it. Lots of California poppies. Fresh water. I would say that's impassable zone number 2, right out in there. Probably 200 feet down. I'll go up this one. So it's 11:42 and entering the second impassable zone. It's about 4 miles long. Pinch point coming out there. We'll see. It's the impassable zone, but really, I mean, you could just go out there and sit until the tide went down if you got caught in it. There's the top. Some demolished structures. And back to the rocks. Cooksey Creek. Looks like the log is in that place. Well, the sand in this zone has been really good. Very, very firm. Easy to walk on. So the water goes under the sand. Very cool. Oh, we're about a mile from the end of this impassable zone. Bit of a pinch point here before Randall Creek. And another, almost to the end, like right at the very end. So back on terra firma, 2 impassables done, 1 to go. So this is Spanish Creek. Very, very shady, very nice water. Private cabin. I wonder if they ever do maintenance on this, where they come in and cut it or something. Don't know. Coming up on Oak Creek.
I have a signal right now.
Oh yeah? Wow. Oh, okay. Coming up on Kinsey Creek. Just gale force winds. So about a mile to go to camp. Tough spot. Man, no fun. So now off the beach again. Very easy to miss these little offshoots. They don't put signs that says, you know, trail this way. So we decided to keep going 1.5 miles further to the big flat campground. That'll put us close to the unpassable in the morning and take it from there. So going down that road down there to the camp. So we settle here at big flat. It's a nice big campground. Gosh, you could probably fit 10 tents in here. Somewhat sheltered from the breeze. There, Jason has his tent set up and mine is nicely under a tree. So 8.5 miles to Shelter Cove. Get up and take on the last unpassable zone in the morning. So good night.